What happens when freedom of expression collides with religious extremism? The answer lies in the tragic events of January 7, 2015, at the Charlie Hebdo headquarters in Paris. In the heart of the French capital, the morning was unfolding much like any other for the team at Charlie Hebdo, a satirical newspaper known for its daring humor and provocative cartoons. Little did they know, a looming shadow of tragedy was about to turn their routine editorial meeting into a blood-curdling nightmare. Enter Said and Sharif Kouachi, two brothers with an ominous plan. Affiliated with Al-Qaeda, these jihadists were fueled by a deadly mix of religious extremism and resentment. The Kouachi brothers, deeply angered by Charlie Hebdo's cartoons depicting the Prophet Muhammad, saw these illustrations as blasphemy against Islam. Their response? A violent attack in the name of avenging the portrayal of the Prophet. Their target? The very institution that stood for freedom of expression, a cornerstone of democratic societies and a principle that Charlie Hebdo fiercely championed. As the clock ticked towards 11 in the morning, the brothers stormed the Charlie Hebdo headquarters. Armed with AK-47 assault rifles, they unleashed a wave of terror that would send shockwaves across the world. In their wake, they left a chilling scene of devastation, taking the lives of 12 innocent people, cartoonists, journalists, and police officers, each with their own stories, dreams, and families. In the face of such a brutal attack, the world watched in horror. Yet, amid the shock and sorrow, a question arose: how do we balance the right to freedom of expression with the need for religious respect? In a matter of minutes, a routine editorial meeting turned into a bloodbath, marking the beginning of a horrific chapter in the history of France. The Charlie Hebdo attack was more than an act of violence. It was a statement against freedom of expression, driven by religious extremism. At the heart of this attack were two brothers, Said and Sharif Kouachi. They were not lone wolves acting on a whim. Instead, they were part of a larger, more sinister network, affiliated with the notorious terrorist organization, Al-Qaeda. This affiliation provided them with the ideological fuel to carry out their devastating assault. Charlie Hebdo, a satirical newspaper, was known for its fearless commitment to freedom of expression. They would often publish controversial cartoons with no subject deemed too sacred. Among these were depictions of the Prophet Muhammad, which sparked outrage among Islamic extremists. For them, such depictions were not just distasteful or disrespectful, they were blasphemous. The Kouachi brothers, driven by their extremist beliefs, saw themselves as defenders of their faith. They believed that by attacking Charlie Hebdo, they were retaliating against what they perceived as a direct insult to their religion. In their twisted perspective, the brutal massacre was an act of retribution, a response to the perceived blasphemy. But in reality, the attack was a violent assault on one of the pillars of democracy, freedom of expression. It was a tragic demonstration of the tension that can exist between this fundamental right and the respect for religious beliefs. This brutal act of violence was a stark reminder of the tension between freedom of expression and religious respect. The terror didn't end with the attack. It sparked a nationwide manhunt and a wave of fear and anger across France and the world. As the dust settled at the Charlie Hebdo headquarters, the French authorities launched a massive manhunt for the Kouachi brothers. Across the country, police forces were mobilized, roadblocks were set up, and house-to-house searches were conducted. The hunt for the attackers was intense, a desperate race against time to prevent further bloodshed. Meanwhile, the world watched in shock and disbelief. The brazen attack had not only claimed 12 lives, but had also struck at the heart of democratic values: freedom of expression. The cartoons that had provoked such violent retaliation were controversial, yes, but they were also a symbol of the liberty to voice opinions, however unpalatable they might be to some. In the aftermath, a wave of solidarity swept across the globe. The phrase, "Je suis Charlie," or "I am Charlie," became a rallying cry for those standing with the victims and defending the right to freedom of speech. From Berlin to New York, from Sydney to Johannesburg, people gathered in their thousands. They held vigils, they marched, they held up pens as a symbol of defiance against the bullets of extremism. Yet, amidst the global outpouring of support, there was also fear and anger, fear of further attacks anger at the senseless violence. The attack had laid bare the tensions simmering beneath the surface of our diverse societies. The question of where the line should be drawn between freedom of expression and respect for religious beliefs became a subject of intense debate. The attack also brought to light the issue of radicalization. The Kouachi brothers had been known to French authorities long before they stormed the Charlie Hebdo headquarters. Their journey from petty criminals to jihadists had taken place largely unnoticed, raising uncomfortable questions about the effectiveness of counterterrorism measures. The attack on Charlie Hebdo was not just an act of terror. It was a stark reminder of the challenges that our societies face in the quest for harmony and mutual respect amidst diversity. It underscored the importance of dialogue, understanding, and tolerance in navigating these complex issues. The attack on Charlie Hebdo was a tragic reminder of the fragility of democratic principles in the face of extremism. As we remember the victims, we must reaffirm our commitment to defending freedom and tolerance,